She called the police because she thought my tractor didn't belong on her HOA road. 10 minutes later, the same police officer who came to remove me was placing handcuffs on her instead. If you love HOA stories, HOA revenge, courtroom drama, and entitled Karen moments that completely backfire, hit subscribe because today's story proves that abusing power doesn't always end the way people expect. The sound of my old John Deere tractor echoed across the valley just after sunrise. I'd driven that same gravel road for nearly 20 years. Every harvest, every storm, every season. It was the only access road connecting my family farm to the south pasture. That morning should have been routine. Instead, I rounded the corner and found a brand new metal barrier stretched across the road. Standing beside it was HOA President Karen Mitchell, wearing sunglasses, holding a clipboard, and smiling like she'd just won the lottery. "You can't drive that tractor here anymore," she announced. "This is now an HOA-maintained road." I laughed. "No, this is a county easement that crosses my property." She didn't even blink. "I've already called the police." Within minutes, a patrol car rolled up behind my tractor. Karen folded her arms with a smug grin. "There he is, officer. He's trespassing and damaging HOA property." The deputy looked at my tractor. Then he looked at the road. Then he asked one question. "Sir, do you happen to have any paperwork showing ownership or an easement?" I reached into the toolbox mounted beside my tractor. Karen smiled even wider. She thought I was bluffing. She had no idea. The folder I was about to hand the deputy contained a document that would completely change the direction of the investigation. Karen thought the paperwork would prove she owned the road. Instead, it proved she had been blocking one she had no legal right to touch. The deputy opened the folder and carefully flipped through the document. Inside were the original county easement maps, the recorded property survey, and a maintenance agreement signed nearly 30 years earlier. He studied each page without saying a word. Karen couldn't stop smiling. "He's wasting your time," she said. "The HOA voted to take control of this road last month." The deputy finally looked up. "Ma'am, do you have a recorded deed or county approval showing ownership?" Karen confidently held out a glossy HOA map. "Our board approved it." The deputy glanced at it for less than 5 seconds before handing it back. "This isn't a legal property record." Her smile faded. Just then, another county truck pulled up. Out stepped the county road supervisor, who happened to recognize both me and my tractor. He walked straight to the barrier, frowned, and asked, "Who authorized this gate?" Karen proudly raised her hand. "I did." The supervisor's expression immediately hardened. "You installed a gate across an active county easement without a permit?" The silence was deafening. The deputy slowly removed his notepad. What started as a trespassing complaint had suddenly become an investigation into obstruction of public access. Karen tried to interrupt, but the road supervisor pointed to a small steel marker buried beside the ditch. It clearly read, "County easement, do not block." Karen's face turned pale. The deputy reached for his radio. What he requested next made every HOA board member standing nearby stop talking. Karen expected backup. What arrived instead was someone who knew that road better than anyone. The deputy lowered his radio and calmly requested a county survey team along with a supervisor from the Public Works Department. Karen laughed. "Fine. They'll prove I'm right." I simply leaned against my tractor and waited. About 20 minutes later, 2 white county trucks pulled onto the gravel road. A licensed land surveyor stepped out carrying a GPS survey unit and a thick binder of official county plat. He ignored everyone and walked directly to the steel easement marker. After taking several precise measurements, he compared the GPS coordinates with the county record. Then he looked straight at the deputy. "This entire roadway is a protected county access easement." Karen immediately interrupted. "Our HOA voted to control it." The surveyor shook his head. "An HOA vote doesn't override county property rights." He pointed toward the freshly installed gate. "This barrier is illegal." The county supervisor examined the heavy steel posts set in fresh concrete. "These weren't here last week," he said. "They've been drilled directly into county infrastructure." The deputy's expression became much more serious. "So this wasn't just blocking a farmer?" The supervisor nodded. "No. This is obstruction of a public easement and damage to county property." Karen suddenly pointed at me. He's lying. Arrest him before he changes the story. Instead, the deputy calmly asked her one final question. Ma'am, who ordered this gate to be installed? Without thinking, she proudly answered. I did. The deputy quietly closed his notebook. Thank you. Those 2 words were all he needed. Because Karen had just admitted everything in front of multiple county officials, and the next thing the deputy reached for wasn't another document. It was a pair of handcuffs. Karen spent months acting like she owned the road. In less than 30 seconds, she lost everything. The deputy removed a pair of handcuffs from his duty belt. Karen actually laughed. Oh, you're finally arresting him. No, ma'am, the deputy replied calmly. I'm arresting you. Her smile disappeared. What? You admitted ordering an illegal gate across a protected county easement and authorizing construction on county property without approval. Karen looked toward the HOA board members. None of them spoke. One quietly stepped backward. Another pulled out his phone and pretended to answer a call. The deputy continued. You also filed a false trespassing complaint against a lawful property owner. Karen's confidence completely collapsed. I was just enforcing HOA rules. The county supervisor shook his head. Your HOA has no authority over this roadway. As the deputy secured the handcuffs, a contractor's pickup rolled into the road. The foreman climbed out, confused. Is something wrong? The deputy pointed toward the steel gate. Who hired your crew? The foreman didn't hesitate. Mrs. Karen Mitchell. He even produced the signed work order from his truck. Karen closed her eyes. The signature at the bottom matched every HOA document she'd submitted. There was no denying it anymore. The deputy placed the work order into an evidence folder. Thank you, he said. But the surprises weren't over. The contractor quietly added one more sentence. We warned her this was county land. The entire crowd fell silent. Karen slowly looked up. You told them? The foreman nodded. Twice. Now the deputy wasn't just investigating an illegal gate. He was investigating whether Karen had knowingly ignored official warnings before ordering construction. And that would make the consequences far more serious. As Karen was escorted toward the patrol car, the county supervisor received an urgent phone call. After listening for a few seconds, he looked directly at me. You're going to want to hear this. What he revealed next would expose something much bigger than a single illegal gate. The illegal gate was only the beginning. What county officials found next threatened the future of the entire HOA. The county supervisor ended the phone call and walked over to me. John, we've got a bigger problem. He handed the deputy a folder that had just been emailed from the county planning office. Inside were copies of permit requests submitted by Karen over the past 6 months. Every single one had been denied. One application requested permission to reroute the county easement. Denied. Another proposed closing the road permanently. Denied. A third attempted to transfer maintenance authority to the HOA. Denied again. The deputy looked at Karen. So you knew the county had rejected every request. Karen stayed silent. Then the supervisor flipped to the last page. This is the important one. It was an email from the county engineer. The message clearly warned that installing any fence, barrier, or gate across the easement would violate county law and could result in criminal charges. The email had been opened twice. Karen couldn't claim she never saw it. One HOA board member suddenly spoke up. She never told us the county rejected everything. Another nodded. She said approval was just a formality. The deputy wrote down every statement. One by one, board members admitted Karen had acted alone. She had signed contractor agreements herself. She had collected HOA funds for the project. She had ordered construction despite repeated legal warnings. The deputy closed the folder. This investigation is no longer about a blocked road. It's now about misuse of HOA funds, false reports, and knowingly violating county orders. Karen's face turned white. She realized this wasn't ending with a simple citation. As another patrol vehicle arrived, the deputy looked toward the courthouse in the distance. The prosecutor is going to want every one of these documents. Karen whispered. This can't be happening. But the biggest surprise of all was still waiting inside the courtroom. The judge had already reviewed the county's evidence before the hearing even began.